5 years of my life just because I kept thinking, I'll do it tomorrow. It started as a harmless habit. I remember that night vividly. Standing on the 12th floor, wind slapping my face, my mind blank, and in my hand, a report I never finished. I was a senior in college, dreaming of becoming the first in my family to graduate. My mom worked 2 jobs. My dad passed away early. I had every reason to try. But then, every night I'd go home and turn on Netflix. I'll study tomorrow, there's still time. Every morning the deadline flashed on my screen. I'll do it this afternoon, I need more sleep. And each time I felt guilty, but not guilty enough to change. I kept pushing everything aside. I didn't think I was doing anything wrong until it all came crashing down. One day late, a life lost. I failed to graduate, not because I wasn't smart, but because I lacked the discipline to turn in my thesis on time. I took a part-time job just for now. I told myself, just a few months, then I'll get serious again. But a few months turned into 2 years. My friends were moving on, getting promotions, going to grad school, traveling, getting married. And me, I was working in a warehouse on the edge of the city. At night, I'd stare at my phone. An old message from my mom, "Do your best in school. I believe in you." I hadn't replied to that message in 3 years. And when my mom passed away from cancer, I was still telling myself, I'll visit when I have time. We think we have unlimited time, but we don't. Procrastination doesn't kill you in a day. It kills you little by little, with silence, with stagnation, with lost opportunities that never come back. Do it while you still can. I'm not sharing this for your pity. I'm sharing it so you don't have to live through what I did. Start today, even the smallest thing. A note, a gym session, a call to say sorry. Procrastination is a sweet trap, but it costs you everything. Your time, your chances, even the people you love. Don't let your future become a collection of what-ifs. So what about you? What's something you're putting off today that you know deep down you'll regret letting slip away? 2, the blame habit, the art of mental suicide. I didn't lose everything because others made mistakes. I lost everything because I kept thinking I was never wrong. I used to think nothing was my fault. His name was Brian, 28 years old, renting a cheap apartment, drinking cheap beer every night, and cursing the world for not understanding him. I met him at a rundown bar on the east side, where people who gave up gathered to tell stories as if they were forgotten geniuses. I say him, but in truth, I was talking about myself. I used to believe I failed because my mom didn't teach me enough, because school taught me nothing useful, because of bad bosses, unfair systems, and a cruel world. I had a full speech about why I never succeeded. Every sentence started with, because someone else. Blaming kills your belief in power. You know what's most dangerous about blaming? It sounds convincing. It makes you feel like a victim, worthy of sympathy, forgiveness, and legally exempt from responsibility. I used to be late to work and blame traffic. Got fired and blame my boss. Had no money and blame my parents. Blaming became my daily emotional meal, so I wouldn't feel like a true failure. But every time I said, it's not my fault, what I was really saying was, I can't do anything to change it, so I stayed still. I didn't get up, I didn't learn, I didn't try to fix anything. Because I believed, if nothing's my fault, why bother changing? This habit turned me from someone with potential into someone who did nothing but complain. I lost friends because they got tired of my excuses. I lost my girlfriend because she said, you don't love anyone, you only love the stories you tell to escape. And I lost myself because I no longer knew what was truth and what was just my own defense. It's time to stop explaining and start owning. I only truly changed the day I looked in the mirror and didn't recognize the man staring back. Not because he was older, but because he was empty. No belief, no plan, no dream. Just one thing I knew for sure. If I kept living like this, I wouldn't just lose my future. I'd die slowly in the present. So I did something I had never done before. I owned up. No one forced me. No one forgave me right away. But when I stopped searching for someone to blame, I finally started to find a way to grow. Today, if you find yourself complaining, blaming, or making excuses, pause. Not because you're wrong, but because you deserve a life that's truly yours to own. No one's coming to save you. No one owes you an apology. But you owe yourself one real chance to live. When was the last time you fully took responsibility for your own life? If it hasn't happened yet, why not start today? And if you saw yourself in this story, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and drop a comment, because maybe your story will change someone else's too. 3. Negative habit. When facing hardship, turning obstacles into a proof of failure. I used to believe I was the unluckiest person in the world until I realized it wasn't life that was killing me. It was what I believed about life. I used to ask myself, why is the universe against me? I lost my father when I was 16. A heart attack, sudden, no time for goodbye. My mother fell into depression and quit her job. I dropped out of school, started working delivery jobs, scraping together every dollar to pay electric and water bills. My friends were starting college, posting photos in graduation gowns. And me? Just the delivery guy forcing a smile at the door and coming home to silence. I hated the world. I hated rich kids who never had to worry. I hated those with parents picking them up. I even hated myself for not being smart enough, strong enough, lucky enough. I drowned in negative thoughts like they were a blanket shielding me from the storm. I'm not successful because I wasn't born like them. It sounded logical, and I repeated it every time life hit me. Negative thinking is a life sentence. Did you know? I once got accepted into a free online course for people switching careers. Maybe my one shot. But I didn't take it. I stared at the screen and thought, what's the point? No matter how hard I try, I'll never be like them. When others fall, they get up. Me? I stayed on the ground, writing a tragic story about myself so I didn't have to move forward. I assumed hardship was a sign to quit. I believed every failure proved I wasn't meant to succeed. So I did nothing except live like a shadow. I lost who knows how many chances just because I kept thinking, I'm not enough. See how insane that is? I didn't fail because I had no chances. I failed because I killed every chance with my small toxic mindset. Hardship is an invitation, not a sentence. Everyone faces hardship. Some lose a father, some lose everything. What separates a broken soul from a warrior isn't the pain, it's how they face it. Negative thinking is an addiction. It comforts you by saying you don't have to try. But it's also why you'll never meet the strongest version of yourself. I changed, not because I got lucky, but because I decided I won't let hardship be the reason I don't live. I rewrote my life with my own hands. Not fast, not flashy, but real. And for the first time in 10 years, I looked in the mirror, and I didn't see a victim. I saw a man. The last time you fell, what did you use it to prove? That you're worthless or that you're growing? 4. The habit of comparison. A race no one wins. You keep running through life by looking at others and forget you're standing on the edge of a cliff. I used to obsess over lives that weren't mine. When I was 25, I made less than $2,000 a month. Meanwhile, an old classmate posted a photo with his first Tesla, captioned, "Financially free at 25. I texted congrats with a smile. But that night, I stared at the ceiling till 3 a.m., hating myself more than I'd ever hated anyone. I started comparing. They had a house, I had payments. They had a gorgeous partner. I was swiping on Tinder in silence. They traveled. I calculated my electricity bill. I thought I was trying. But honestly, I was crushing myself under a ruler that was never made for me. Comparison turns the capable into the useless. Comparison doesn't just make you feel less than. It robs your patience, your confidence, your gratitude, the very things that help you grow. I once quit a course because I thought people finished this at 20. I'm too late. I canceled a date with a wonderful girl because I felt she deserved someone better. I turned down a promotion because I thought, that guy is way better than me. How can I accept? And worst of all, I started doubting my own worth so deeply I couldn't find a reason to keep going. I wasn't living anymore. I was just existing, waiting for the day I'd become someone worthy of living. Every life is a different map. My friend, if you're scrolling through social media and feel like a loser, remember this. No one posts their pain on Instagram. No one uploads sleepless nights of anxiety. No one tells you how many times they fell before that perfect photo. You're comparing your entire life to someone's highlight reel. Your life is not a speed contest. It's a journey where you're allowed to go slow, to stumble, and to restart as many times as needed. I stopped comparing when I realized no one can steal my dreams except me when I believe I'm not enough. Since the day I chose to live as the only version of me in the universe, I haven't feared losing. Because I know I'm playing my game. And in that game, no one can replace me. How long have you lived in someone else's shadow? And when will you finally rise to shine your own light? 5. The habit of pleasing everyone. The shortcut to soul burnout. I used to be someone everyone loved, except me. I'm fine, and the nods that kill a person. I was the kind of person who always smiled, even when I felt like a tangled wire burning inside. You need help? I said yes. Need me to cover for you? I did it. Complain to me? I apologized, even when I wasn't wrong. I took pride in being the sweet one, the helper, the person who never upset anyone. But you know what's worse than being lonely? It's being surrounded by people who adore you, and not a single one truly knows who you are. I once stood in front of the mirror and asked, if I disappeared tomorrow, would anyone even notice beyond the role I've been pretending to play? The cost of being good to everyone. I once had a girlfriend, beautiful, smart, admired by many. I didn't want to disappoint her, so I stayed quiet about the unfair things. She commanded, I obeyed. She was wrong, I took the blame. You know how it ended? She left because I lacked backbone, not because I was bad, not because I betrayed her, but because I never had the courage to be myself. I was just a mirror showing what she wanted to see. I was suffocated at work too, stayed overtime so the boss wouldn't be mad. Took on coworkers' tasks because I couldn't say no, laughed off insults just to keep the peace. And then I was the first one laid off. Lacked personality, lacked standout value. I gave too much, but what I gave up was my self-respect. You weren't born to be a pleasant copy. Being kind isn't wrong, but if it costs you your soul just to please the world, then it's not kindness. It's emotional suicide. No one remembers the person who's always fine. No one respects the one who never says no. It took me years to learn. No one truly loves you if you constantly have to change yourself just to keep them around. You don't have to be everyone's sunshine. Be the sky and let the sun shine only when you choose it. Next time someone asks you to do something you don't want to do, will you nod like always or finally stand up for yourself? And if you've been living to please everyone, maybe it's time to start living for you. 6. The habit of spending money to relieve stress. A glamorous life. Hiding an empty soul. I used to believe if I had money, I'd never be sad. But I've been rich before, and I was completely empty inside. Part 1. Purchases that weren't about need, but about emotion. The first time I spent money just to cope with stress was right after I lost my job. I walked into a shopping mall and bought a pair of shoes, 5 times more expensive than the ones I owned. Not because I needed them, but because I needed to feel like I still had control over my life. That night, I ordered an expensive dinner, for one. Posted a photo with the caption, enjoying life. People hit like, a lot of them, but no one knew. Just an hour earlier, I was crying in the restroom, wondering how I'd pay rent next month. It became a pattern. Every time I felt sad, I spent. Every time I felt like a failure, I swiped my card. Every time I felt worthless, I ordered something expensive as if to prove, I'm fine. Look at me, I'm still doing great. But deep inside, I was falling apart. Money doesn't fix your emotions. It just helps you hide them. I once had a friend. He drove the kind of car everyone in our group dreamed of. Every night, he would drive it around the city, alone. No destination, no one next to him, just the sound of the engine and a tired soul behind the wheel. We sat down for beers one night, and he said something I'll never forget. Every time I buy something new, it's just me trying to believe that my life still has value. Money is a tool. It buys convenience, not peace. It can help you live comfortably, but it can't help you love yourself. The more you chase the feeling of spending to feel okay, the more you turn yourself into an emotional slave inside a luxury shell. Freedom begins when you stop looking for soul medicine in a shopping cart. I stopped. Not because I ran out of money, but because I realized every time I spent just to fill a void, I was betraying myself. I started doing the hard things, sitting with my emotions. I wrote, I exercised, I meditated. I called my family, not to ask for money, but to say honestly, I'm not okay. I learned to ask myself what I really needed, and that answer was never inside a 50% off sale. When you're sad, are you healing or just hiding? And if you spend money to relieve stress, have you ever felt better in the long run? 6 habits, they sound ordinary. Almost everyone falls into them at some point. But if you don't stop, don't face them. Don't choose to live differently. They will quietly pull your life downward. No noise, no warning. I'm not perfect. I'm still fixing things. But at least now, I'm no longer the man who lies to himself every day. If any part of this hit you, if you recognized yourself in one of these 6 habits, maybe you've also asked the question, why isn't my life getting any better? But if you've listened this far, it means you're ready to change. And if you want to walk this journey with me, one step a week, one story at a time, tap that like button so I know you're still here. Hit subscribe so I have a reason to keep telling the stories most people are too afraid to speak. You're not alone, and we're not letting our lives fall apart just because of bad habits. Not anymore.